Greetings, YouTube. I would like to quote Terry Pratchett. "The reason that rich are so rich," Vimes reasoned, "was because they managed to spend less money. Take Boots, for example. He earned $38 a month plus allowances. A really good pair of leather boots cost $50. But an affordable pair of boots, which were sort of okay for a season or two and then leaked like hell when the cardboard gave out, cost about $10. Those were the kind of boots Vimes always bought, and wore until the soles were so thin he could tell where he was in Ankh-Morpork on a foggy night by the feel of the cobbles. But the thing was that good boots lasted for years and years. A man who could afford $50 had a pair of boots that he'd still be keeping his feet dry in 10 years' time, while the poor man, who could only afford cheap boots, would have spent $100 on boots in the same time and would still have wet feet." This was the Captain Samuel Vimes Boots theory of socio-economic unfairness. Now, while written in humor, it is true. There is a cost to being poor, and saving money takes money. I'm also going to link to an article written by one Linda Tirado with experts from Hand to Mouth Living in Bootstrap America, which is a book that she has just penned, and a Metafilter thread that deals with that article and that book in general. And a lot of the time I hear libertarians tell me that people just buckled down and did what they could to save a penny here and there, they'd just be fine. And one of the people in the Metafilter conversation, one storyboard, wrote a very cogent remark, and this is requirements for bootstrapping: good public transportation, health insurance, libraries, good public education, affordable housing, good personal choices, good luck. Problem, of course, is that in America, the American variety of conservatism is out to destroy all of those options. They are actively attempting to wipe out public transportation, to wipe out our access to health insurance, which we have just had a tiny little taste of it with the Affordable Care Act. They're trying to get rid of libraries. They're trying to get rid of public schools. They're trying to get rid of affordable housing because, you know, let the market decide what it should be. They're trying to get rid of good personal choices by completely undermining organized labor and making sure that corporations have all the power while workers have none. And of course, most of us have never had the good luck that the people that are backing the American form of conservatism have had. Because that's what it takes in the world to be rich. A lot of good luck. And funnily enough, it seems to correlate that the luckiest are those born to wealthy families. It's almost as though there's a direct link. That if you're born into life with a lot of advantages, you continue to have a lot of advantages. Now, many of us have a buffer. Not all of us. Many of us do. Sometimes that's insurance. If my home gets broken into, I have insurance. If it burns down, I have insurance. If my car gets damaged, I have insurance. Heck, if someone breaks into my car on my property, I have insurance for my homeowner's insurance, which would help me cover that kind of thing. But when you're below a certain level of economic power, that buffer disappears, and you are one economic pitfall away from disaster. Your car breaks down. It gets impounded because you didn't know it was a snow emergency, because the city didn't tell you, and they towed your car. And in my city, for decades, that was the norm. There was no way to know when there was a snow emergency. They didn't have any system in place to officially announce it. Now we have lights in the city, but those lights are only about, I think, 5 or 6 years old. And the lights aren't everywhere. And also now they have email notifications, which is nice, and text notifications. But prior to then, there was no way to know. So you could get your car towed, not know where your car went, and then now you're stuck with the bill of having to get your car out of impound. Do you know how much it costs per day when your car is in impound? So you miss just 2 days, and you may never get your car back at all. And what if you need a car to survive? Say, for example, you live in a city like I do with an incredibly crappy public transportation system. Something that is only laughingly called a public transportation system. Because instead of expanding the public transportation system so it's comprehensive and usable, year after year they shrink it. Their justification cycle goes like this. People aren't using enough public transportation, so we're going to shrink it. People aren't using enough public transportation, so we're going to shrink it. People aren't using enough public transportation, so we're going to shrink it. Do you see how this is a wonderfully self-fulfilling prophecy? Instead of expanding it to the point where people actually can use it to live, they shrink it again and again and again, making it less and less functioning and usable for the people who need it most. And this is the thinking involved here. In a system where 80% of the money for the public transportation system is provided from the federal government, not the state. So they're just throwing away potential money that could be helping the poor because it's seen as being fiscally conservative, which is another way of saying screw the poor and keep our bosses, the oligarchs, happy. It costs money to save money. There's an inherent cost to being poor in America. In every nation, actually. It's the same everywhere in that regard, I guess. The true egalitarian aspect of life. The poor being screwed by the rich. Now, some people will tell you that poverty is a side effect of capitalism. They would be wrong. Poverty is an inherent component of capitalism. Capitalism will not function unless there is poverty, which is why capitalism is broken. It's the greatest indictment of the capitalist system, and it is why we need to rethink and put in reins upon capitalism so that we make sure the system is set up that there is a safety net so no human being anywhere goes hungry or homeless without health care, without an education. That we have to set up a safety net that says that from cradle to grave, you will never have to suffer. As I read it on a thread on somewhere else this morning on the internet, that said that we're all in this together. It's about time we started acting like it.